previous. Delete that.
Alyssa, I don't remember Tom had a boy.
He had a boy.
He had a boy and Lisa.
Yes, we are exactly 2 months apart.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they living in Wyomissing too?
They are in Sinking Spring. Yes.
So the cousins can grow up together.
Yes, definitely.
We waiting for Greg or?
I would prefer you to start without, I have a hard stop over.
Okay, let's go. I'm going to call the meeting of the Wyomissing Zoning Hearing Board to order. We're here today to hear from the application of Alyssa Heck and Evan McCready, who are owners of the property located at 1561 Dauphin Avenue and are requesting a variance from sections 404, area yard and height requirements in section 704.3, non-conforming building and structures. Property is located in the R1 low-density residential district. The parcel measures approximately 5,600 square feet and is non-conforming to the minimum lot size of 12,000. Property is a corner property with frontages along Dauphin and Evans. Property is further bordered in the rear by an unnamed alley and at the side property line by a residential parcel. Existing dwelling is non-conforming. Front yard setback associated with Dauphin is required to be 30 feet. Front yard setback associated with Evans is required to be 30 feet. The side yard setback is required to be 15 feet, but the existing dwelling is only set back 8 feet. Applicant is proposing to extend the existing two-story dwelling toward the rear of the property. The addition as proposed would extend 17.4 feet toward the rear of the property while encroaching on both front yard setback with Evans and the side yard setback. Proposed 295 square foot addition would increase the parcel building coverage from 22.6 to 26%. Applicants are seeking relief from 404 to be allowed to exceed the minimum 25% by 1%. The applicants also seek relief in 704, the zoning ordinance, to allow the proposed addition to encroach into the required side yard by 7 feet and the required front yard by as much as 10.2 feet. Before we begin, I'll introduce the people that are sitting at the table. Joe Nieder is zoning, what is your official title for?
Residential zoning officer.
Residential zoning officer. And Michelle Bear, who has 7 titles, and I can't remember any of them. And Najla Batish is a member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Robert Ullman is a member of the Zoning Hearing Board. Counsel is Dan Becker, and I'm David Rothwell. I'm the chairman of the Zoning Hearing Board. Mr. Becker will explain what it is you all are going to have to do today.
Good afternoon. So today, because you filed the application, it's your burden of proof to explain to the Zoning Hearing Board why the relief you're requesting should be granted. You can do that by testimony, you can do it by exhibits. We do have your application, and as you can see, we do have a number of exhibits. You can refer to them during your testimony. When you do that, I'll probably ask our stenographer to mark those exhibits so that they're easy to reference in the process. As you can see, we do have a stenographer here who will be taking down all of the testimony today. So we'll ask that you speak clearly and that you let one person at a time talk and answer questions going forward. What will happen is, once you provide your testimony, at the conclusion of your testimony, the zoning hearing board members and myself, we may ask you questions. After all the testimony has been presented, all the exhibits have been presented, the zoning hearing board will recess into an executive session. And it's at that point they'll deliberate on your case, and then typically they'll render an oral decision today. Within 45 days after today's hearing, assuming we complete the hearing, which I anticipate we will, to render a written decision. Do you have any questions about how we're going to proceed today?
Yeah.
Are you both going to testify?
I will probably testify. testify. Evan, if you want to chime in, you can.
Sure.
but-
Well, then you should both be sworn.
Okay.
Please swear this
Alright.
there too. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Swear, Joe. Yeah.
If you'd like to raise your right hands, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I,
Okay. The story is yours to tell.
Okay, so we purchased this property, in June. We were driving around Wyomissing because we're currently living with my mom. I wanted to drive around and look at properties on my birthday, so we stumbled across 1561 Dauphin Avenue, which was up for public auction. So I was very excited. I'm a real estate investor in the area, so public auction, that's something I'm like, wow, let's go for this. So we attended the auction and ended up winning. So the house was purchased completely as is, from an estate. Unfortunately, the person who lived there prior did not take care of the property. When we purchased it, it was not mortgageable, it was not livable. So we are requesting relief, to add this addition, to the rear of the property, in order to support our growing family, as you know. We recently had our first child in September, and we're just looking for more space in the house and to make it more livable for us. We both work from home, and currently as it stands with the growing family, there isn't enough space to comfortably work from home and raise a family aside from life. That is why we're requesting relief. If you have questions.
So you're living in the house or not yet?
Not yet, no. So it's not currently livable, and we've gone through plans with Greg and Steve Whitford of Whitford Designs, to make the house what we'd like it to be. We plan to put a pretty favorable amount of money into the property, to bring it up to the standards that we all know and love in Wyomissing.
Why is it not livable?
Well, it is not livable because the person who lived there previously really let it go. It's, I don't wanna say gross, but it's pretty bad.
Is it structurally sound?
Structurally sound, yes. However, it would require tons of work. I'm not comfortable bringing an infant into the house. So that's kind of the avenue that we're going down, is to really redo everything and bring it to the standards and be able to raise a family there and work from home at the same time.
We're concentrating on the addition. What is it that the addition is going to do for the house that's required, that relief is necessary for it to build?
Sure, so, I think there should be a plan. I'm not sure what it was on yet.
So if you look down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's plan numbers and reference names, so it,
So P1H by Steve Whitford. Yeah, so, it's proposed that we add a family room off of the back, an additional bathroom, and then a mudroom with a laundry room. And then in this existing living room, and then that little,
okay, so because we're having this demographically recorded, we're
Sure.
gonna try to be able to describe it, so let's mark this as applicant's exhibit 1,
sure,
okay? And so just to talk a little bit about it, and try to help walk through here for a moment. Does this diagram depict the floor area of the existing building and the proposed space?
yes,
Okay. And the proposed space is the area which contains the darker lines to the left of the diagram, is that correct?
you're correct.
All right, so the wall, you can see the room that's marked dining room, and then below it says kitchen. And the wall to the left of that area, is that the existing wall currently?
Yes, that's the existing exterior of the home.
All right. And then all items to the left of that are the areas that are going to be added. So now, if you want to go ahead and provide some additional testimony about why they become important
addition, is going to give our family additional space, to grow, play. So instead of having in the existing structure where you see it says sitting / playroom, that would then turn into an office, and allow our kids to move into the other part of the house, have that additional powder room, and then the laundry room in the proposed addition.
Is it one story?
No. So,
Sure. Oh, yeah. Well,
Is the addition 2 stories?
yes, the addition would also be 2 stories.
And what's on the second, I assume that this diagram that we just marked as A1 is the first floor of the addition?
Yes, I didn't see the second floor addition in the packet.
Dan, who would that be for? I'll mark that, or yours or somebody's, so we
Yeah.
don't get all.
You can look and
Okay, A1, is that okay?
Yeah, just, yeah.
Okay.
and then I have a copy of the second floor proposal.
Okay, that's fine. Why don't we just mark A1 and A2? I don't know how many we're gonna have for it. So, just, if you can just give me the A2, we don't have it to put up on the screen, but that's okay.
All right.
We're used to dealing with exhibits as they come.
Okay,
So, but I do wanna be able to provide it.
Whatever's A1 and A2.
okay, so this will be A1.
If you just want to tear it. Yeah. Okay, and then is this going to be A2? or
Yes, this would
This
be.
is-
Okay, so why don't we give Lori a chance to mark
Yes,
both?
please.
Yes, please. So, do you, let me go back on record. Zach, do you have, you just handed me A1 and A2.
Yes,
Can you provide testimony A2 without seeing it if I pass it to the zoning hearing board members? Can you
Here,
explain what's going on?
I have a hard copy.
You do, okay. So what I'll do is I'm gonna give this to the zoning hearing board members and you can just take a look at the one that Michelle will give you so we can describe what A2 depicts as well.
thank you. Okay, let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so regarding exhibit A2, we would be adding an owner's bedroom and closet onto the back, which would allow for more bedrooms for children to be in the front of the existing structure. We are also adding an additional bathroom, a full bath, in the existing structure, so that's not part of the addition, which you see next to the closet in exhibit A2, next to the owner's bedroom closet in A2. Yeah, so, I mean, moral of the story, keep going back to having more room for a growing family and then allowing our family to grow up in that house. Evan grew up a few blocks up Dauphin Avenue, so the family is in the area, and we plan to stay there for a long time, with our growing family.
So you're adding just short of 600 square feet to the structure, living space.
Yes.
And you're staying in the neighborhood because Evan gets lost?
I just love the neighborhood so much.
You're gonna get away.
That's like a good 2 blocks up.
2 blocks up,
Yes,
okay.
and then, additionally, just as Alyssa did say, with Exhibit 1A, my employment, they strictly went home-based. We no longer have offices, and I deal with, in my industry, I deal with protected health information, so I have to, at utmost cost, try to keep my clients' information private. So being able to have that office where the sitting playroom is currently, that's going to allow me to ensure that I meet my employer's standards of making sure I keep myself as distant from Alyssa and my children as possible to try to make sure I keep the privacy of my clients.
Who do you work for?
Service access and management.
Michelle, can you put the plot plan back up, please? I'll point it out for you, but basically, if you observe the setbacks and on this property, it wouldn't have a house.
Right,
Yes.
It couldn't possibly be there.
right.
Okay.
We'll mark that as Exhibit A3.
Okay.
How old is the house?
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I believe 1910.
Wait.
Hold on.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Ask your question, Mr. Butler.
How old, do you have any idea?
I think 1920s.
1920s.
It's actually interesting. We were outside one day and a woman drove up and said her grandparents had lived there. She wanted to walk through the house and she was looking at everything and was like, wow, nothing about this house has changed.
That's a good part of the bad part.
Yeah.
So what I mean, it was let go from, I guess, the 1960s. It was pretty let go.
Who owns the property?
Ralph Lantz. Lantz.
Yeah.
He, I believe, came ill with cancer when he was living there. So according to the previous owners, that he just was in one room basically until they had to put him in the facility for hospice.
It's too bad, but, Any questions? Further questions? Dan?
No?
Okay, without any further questions, we're going to do some legal stuff that we have to get through the rest of this meeting, so, go ahead, Mr.
All
Becker.
right, thank you very much. Mr. Knight, you've been sworn in your capacity as the zoning officer for the borough. What are your duties and responsibilities?
As a residential zoning officer, I prepared a memo for the board which summarizes the application and the relief that was requested.
That was the memorandum that was read into the record earlier.
Correct.
Mark, do you have that with you today?
I do.
Mark that as board exhibit number 1. Do you have any further information in your capacity as the zoning officer that you believe relevant for today's hearing?
No, I would just reiterate what was already said, that this lot is rather unique and has very minimal area that could be used per the existing setbacks.
Thank you very much. Now, Michelle, you are still the zoning secretary, hearing board secretary, is that correct?
Correct. Should say for now.
Just wanted to make sure that nothing's
Do
changed.
you want me sworn, because I was not?
Probably should have you sworn.
Okay, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, in your capacity as a secretary for the zoning hearing board, what are your duties and responsibilities?
I prepared a public notice that was advertised in the Reading Eagle on November 16th and 23rd. That same notice was mailed to all adjacent property owners within at least 300 feet of the subject property on November 11th, 2021 at approximately 3:30 p.m. And that notice was also posted at the subject property on November 11th of 2021 at approximately 1:40 p.m.
Do you have copies of all those documents with you today?
I do, and I'm gonna attach the application and the related documents as part of that.
Great, we'll mark those all together as board exhibit number 2. In your capacity as a secretary for the zoning hearing board, do you have any further information that's relevant to consideration of the zoning hearing?
I do not.
Thank you very much.
Okay, having completed that, we will take a recess and see if we can come to a conclusion, if you'll excuse us.
Yeah.
Thank you.